can you tell us how you started to play the flute?
Actually, I didn't start on the flute. I started on recorder and then ukulele in school, right? And then we had a string program, so I actually played viola for a while. And then I didn't get to play flute until the band started. So it was basically high school band.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was, pick an instrument. I always wanted to try the flute, so I got to try the flute and I was so excited about it. I went through really quickly. So yeah, it was great.
Excellent. Excellent. And then how long did you play the flute? So you played it from band and then did you go to university with it or?
Yeah, I did. I went to Dalhousie and I graduated with a Bachelor of Flute Performance.
Brilliant. Okay. So what made you decide to choose the flute out of all the other instruments that you had?
Um, I really loved it.
Yeah. It's
Really
just
loved it.
one of those instruments that makes you um drawn to it.
Well, I think when I picked it up, it was so easy, right? So I
Hmm.
immediately felt like I had a voice through it. And I think that makes a difference. And I think I had a good teacher at the beginning that really set me up for finding that voice. So I think all
That
those
helps.
elements together gave me that connection, and it's still there. So I'm very thrilled about it.
Definitely, definitely. Who was your teacher?
Well, I had Steve Peterson. So my high school band teacher convinced me to go for some lessons with this Steve Peterson. And so I took two lessons, and it was right before the summer. And then he taught at the band camp. And then after that, I just kept taking lessons with him. He was so much fun. And he never like said, "Oh, don't play that." He would be like, "Oh, you want to play that? Go ahead."
Cool. So there was no limitations. You were able to kind of do what you wanted and keep your passion. Um,
Yeah, and he was very involved in new music as well. So that was incredible. He was good friends with Bob Aiken, who used to come. And whenever Bob Aiken came to town, he would have these
wow.
play-in sessions at Steve's house because they were very
Gosh,
involved in modern music. It was just incredible.
that's awesome. Awesome. So was he your main teacher then from
From
band?
high
Like from,
school, yes, but he sent me on very
okay.
quickly. So then that's when I found Patty Creighton, and she was lovely too. Yeah,
Oh,
wonderful
cool.
teacher as well. Yeah. And she
Great.
would just send me on as well. Like she would say, "Oh, go here and take lessons with this person." So she never ever like held me back that way. You're my student type
Right. Right.
thing. She
And
was always
limited
like,
you.
"Oh, go do this master class. Go study with this person. Take some lessons with this person." So
Great.
that was a real wonderful experience.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So from there, from your flute performance in university, um, I'm guessing that you performed a lot, and you also
In
teach,
university,
and
yes.
you conduct as well, right? Can you tell
That
us a
came
little bit
later.
about that journey?
Yeah, that actually came later. But I was really grateful for the experiences I had in university. I did do the choral conducting course, and that came in a lot of very handy for like flute choir and everything.
Absolutely.
And Walter Kemp is a fabulous choral conductor, and he was kind of the teacher of the course, so it was amazing.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. So going back to your flute performance and taking flute in university, is there kind of a practice routine that you had been given or that you took from that and you keep doing? What is your kind of routine, your outline?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think if my teachers in university looked at my practice routine now, they'd be like, "What are you doing?" Because in university it was very much long tones, scales, studies, pieces. And
Hmm.
now my practice time is so limited. So when I'm doing my long tones, I actually use snippets of my pieces. So I pick like the hardest section with like the most technical finger work, and I slow it down to like, whole notes. And I just use that as like my long tone work, connection between the notes, matching the notes and everything, because I don't really have the time.
Right, that's a great idea. So if you're kind of strapped for time, then just go to the hardest part, pick that out, and do it very, very slowly.
like incredibly slowly. Like,
Incredibly slowly?
yeah, quarter notes become whole notes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, just like, so when you get to the note and you're switching, you're thinking ahead and your fingers stay relaxed. Your breathing is in place already. I don't know, I find it really helpful.
Cool. So that's like muscle memory that you're trying to gain
Yeah,
by
and
doing that.
tone between the notes, because oftentimes with technical passages, the fingers don't quite land right, or, you crack the note a little bit because of the lip slur part of it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a tip or the best kind of advice that somebody, a mentor or a teacher has taught you off the top of your head? Like anything that comes to mind?
I have this story I always tell my students because it's actually funny.
Mhm.
So Patty sent me away to do this master class with Louis Moise, and it was amazing. You go to New York and you spend 2 weeks studying with him
Wow.
in these master classes. Yeah, he was wonderful.
Oh
He was
my
older, he was
goodness.
settled, he didn't travel so much. So I went down there, and so I'm doing Taffnell and Gobert for him because I wanted to work on my technique when I was there.
Right.
And we get to number 3, and I think I had this whole pattern worked out where I would do like the sharps one day, or the sharps in the duples, and then the flats in the triplets and stuff like that. And he was the one that looked at me and said, "What? I think you can do each of these in one breath." And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "So 12 breaths is too much for you?" And it's just that when you think about it, when you're doing these techniques, it's
Mhm.
almost, you have to do them so much they become easy, right? So
Right.
12 breaths, it's, you know, relax into it, but do it. Do the full exercise.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And use your breath and stretch yourself.
Yep. Stretch yourself. That's it. Right.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so on to the next question.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite type of flute, or what is your favorite kind of flute to practice with or to play with?
Oh, that's a hard question
I know.
because I have so many different flutes and each one has a different voice. So I actually have a keyless wooden flute, and
Mm.
I do play on that a lot because the wooden timbre of it I love. And then I try to get that wooden timbre into my C flute. And I
Wow.
play a lot of folk music, like I like to do session tunes and stuff like that. And
Nice.
so transferring that over into the flute and trying to get that rolled kind of woody sound into
Hmm.
a silver instrument is very lovely.
Yeah, that sounds like a challenge to do.
Yeah, but it happens. It's like when you play the piccolo, and the embouchure is different, and then you go to your flute and it sounds different. It's the same kind of thing.
Okay,
And
cool.
I also love to play the bass flute.
The bass flute. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my baby.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, okay, the next question. Um, are you willing to share some performance advice?
Yes, absolutely. I get nervous when I perform, but I find that the more prepared I am mentally,
Mhm.
the better it goes. And the other thing is, I try to reframe it. I never say I'm nervous, I say I'm excited,
Smart.
and I always try to tell myself, I want to be here. This is what I want.
Positive. Yeah, and prepping
Yeah.
yourself, kind of coaching yourself.
Yeah, but I find if I say I'm excited, it feels different than if I say I'm nervous.
That's a good tip. Thank you. Yes. Okay, so the last question is, what is one thing that most people don't know about you?
Yeah,
You
that's
play
a
the
hard one.
ukulele. You did tell us that at the very beginning, so maybe that's something.
Yeah, I think I I didn't start composing until recently.
Oh,
I've
nice.
composed my whole life. I've always written music, but I only shared it over COVID, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then the first time I shared it, Larry DeLahaye, who's a good friend of mine, said, "Oh my goodness, this is lovely. You should write more." So then I started dragging out these things and sharing them, and just the reception was incredible. So I've been thrilled.
Fantastic. That's really, really good. Is there a place that we can go to hear your compositions? Do you have it on an MP4, or is it MP3 or MP4? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I do have a YouTube channel, and they're
You
all
do.
flute choir compositions.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
my favorite piece is Pandemic because I wrote it during the pandemic. It's called Busy in Place and Sleepless Nights, and it's written as a virtual flute choir piece. So it goes at 120, and the click stays the same all the way through the piece, but then the meter and the timbre and everything change.
Cool. That's
And it's
awesome.
seamless.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
and that
gonna
was
have to
quite
listen to it.
fun.
You know what? I'm gonna add your link to your YouTube underneath this, so
Oh,
everybody can
excellent.
just go to it right away. Right? Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's it from us. And thank you again so much for doing this. It's really, really helped, and it helps kind of create a community of